I forgot to record. Yeah, no worries. I can, not a problemo. All right, so pickling done. Okay, so now we have these rice sticks. I'm gonna need to soak these to get them to soften up. Okay. So we're going to take these rice. This is for the pancetta. I'm going to just soak these. Okay. So I need to put this in water. So I'm going to get a bowl. I'm going to get some, not like, I would say, you know, you don't want hot water, but you don't want like cold water either. So, you know, somewhere lukewarm. So I got my bowl of water right here. I'm going to just go ahead, put this right in and just kind of let it sit and soak and soften up. Break these up a little bit. I'm going to put something on top just so it'll. So I've just got something kind of placed on top, just so it'll kind of submerge it a little bit. And I'm going to just let this sit for a few minutes. That's for the pancetta. All right. Now, I got the pasta everywhere. And again, if your camera is not on, you need to send me a picture of yourself and what you're doing. I am going to put in the chat, again, my phone number. There is my phone number, so you can text me your picture of yourself. I need to be able to know that you are up and moving. All right, so my pickling is done. It's sitting there, staying pickling. And then I've got my pancetta noodles are soaking right now. So they're kind of softening up. One water wasn't warm enough. Pancetta noodles, I'm going to warm it up just a little bit more. say maybe just a little more warmer water. That helps soften it up just a little bit more. It's a little more pliable now. I'm going to just let that sit and just kind of soften up. And we will just notice that it wasn't softening up. All right, so let's go back to here. All right, so the pickling is pretty much done, so I'm going to X that out. Let me get to the braised pork adobo since some people are going to be doing that. All right, so for the braised pork adobo, you've got onions, garlic, bay leaf, soy sauce, pork butt, chicken stock or water, white vinegar, fish sauce, black pepper, and cornstarch. So I'm going to go ahead and I just went and grabbed some pork butt. So I'm going to cut this pork. Oh, wait, no, the cutting board, sorry. So here's my cutting board right here. Here's the pork butt. I'm going to go ahead and cut this into basically cubes. Everybody can see that? A little bite size, 1 to 2 bite size cubes. You can leave some of the fat on there as long as what I would say is it's not like silver skin. If it's really like that real thick silvery stuff, then maybe you want to take that off. But the other fat, you know, some of the fat is good. Maybe this might be a little too much. So no one wants to get a big old chunk of fat. I mean, that's a huge amount of fat. I wouldn't, you know, I mean, in the real world, you wouldn't want to throw away that pork fat. I would save it and I would, you know, if I'm making sausage or whatever else, I can grind that fat up. Whatever else. Sausage. But if you don't have the pork, that's fine. But if someone went and bought it, don't want to anybody buy stuff and not. So here we go. Here's my pork butt, kind of cubed up. I'm going to get my knife. My onion. Calls for onion, right? Yeah. So, and let's see, this concept, does it have onion too? Yeah. So I'm gonna do the. I'm gonna just. Let's see, what is this? Medium dice for this. So medium dice. We're gonna do medium dice for the pork. So there's medium dice for my pork. Portion top portion. So we got medium dice right here. since I need to cut a little bit of julienne for my pancetta. So I'm going to just go ahead and cut my vegetable for my pancetta too. There's my vegetable for my pancetta. Just kind of gathering all my mise en place. Let's see, garlic. Excuse me, hiccups again. Garlic. We can finally chop that, or it says mince. And if you're not doing the pork adobo, you can go ahead and start mise en placing out your stuff for your pancetta. We'll do that in a few minutes, but you can jump ahead if you so desire. And the garlic is chopped. What else? Soy sauce, pork fat, chicken stock, white vinegar. So fish sauce I've got. Now, when you're using the fish sauce, please be very careful. That stuff is like ultra strong. A little bit goes a long way. All right, so I've got my vinegar, I've got my soy sauce, bay leaf, black pepper, cornstarch. Cornstarch is for later. That's for thickening if we need it. I very rarely use the cornstarch to thicken it. I just kind of reduce it down myself. But now let me get a pot. Got a pot right here. Turn the heat on. I'm going to go ahead. Here's my pork. I'm going to season my pork with salt and pepper. Even though we're going to use soy sauce, we still need to salt this meat. And pork adobo usually is kind of salty, and that's why you mix it with, have it with the white rice. That helps calm it down a little bit. So there's the, I got some salt, black pepper. All that up.
Chef,
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, my husband's gonna go across my TV and get a pork butt for me.
Okay, I mean,
So
you
that
don't
way I
have
can
to
do
do it. You don't have to do it.
But I have everything else. They gave me everything else. So.
All right. Well, I mean, if not, don't worry about it because I don't want to make y'all.
No, it's okay.
Do it. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some oil in my pan, and I'm going to start, and I'm going to basically brown this pork butt. I'm going to brown it. I'm going to sear the outside, but I want to sear it with it being basically raw on the center. Okay, so I need the pan. The pan needs to be pretty darn hot because I want to brown all the pork without really cooking it completely. If that makes any sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm just waiting for my pan to get nice and hot. To tell if it's really hot enough, it should smoke. It should be smoking, almost at its smoking point. The reason why you just need to make sure that you don't overcrowd your pan. So I've got this. I'm going to do this in 2 batches. I'm going to sear this pork. I want this nice, so when you put it in your pan, you don't want to move it because it's going to stick. That pork is going to stick to the bottom. Just let it kind of release on its own, but we want to get some good color. I don't know, do y'all hear that kind of sizzle sound? That's what I call the sexy sizzle. You want to hear that. That tells me that I'm, this is going to get that nice Maillard reaction or that brown that you're looking for. And I'll show you what it looks like in a second. And I'm doing batch cooking just because my pot, I don't want to overcrowd it and cool my pan down too much. And I don't know if you can see, but I mean, it's smoking, it's on high. You'll see, got a nice sear on that. So I'm going to take that pork out, all that pork, and then I'm going to let it sit for a second, and then I'm going to sear the other bit. And the reason why I haven't salt and peppered this, half of that salt and pepper is going to fall off into the pan. Okay, I'm searing that pork. Okay, I'm going to take out that last little bit of pork. And here we go. Now, I'm going to swirl this pan around. Guys, there is a lot of salt that fell off. And if I don't dump out this salt and this oil, my product's going to be very oily. B, it's going to be so, I dumped out all of the oil. And if you look at my pan, there's my pan right there. There's some fond stuck to the bottom. That's fine, as long as there's not much salt in there. That's what I don't want. So I've got my medium diced onions. Just put in there with no extra fat. Why do I not want extra fat? Because I don't want to get too fatty. Okay, I've got my garlic. I'm gonna put my garlic in there. So I got my garlic, onions, right in this pan. Everybody see that? And then I got my pork right here. I'm gonna, I've got my garlic and onions here. I'm gonna go ahead and throw in my pork. Everybody see that? So I got pork, onions, and garlic. Now, I'm gonna put in my, what do we got? My vinegar. Sorry, I had to look at my screen. So I'm gonna put my white vinegar, a little bit of white vinegar in there. If you don't have white vinegar, you could use apple cider, you could use rice wine vinegar, you name it, whatever. I'm gonna put the vinegar, I'm gonna put soy sauce. And my liking is about equal parts soy to equal parts vinegar. And then I'm gonna get either stock or water. Okay, now for a braise, when you braise, it needs to be, the braising liquid needs to be either, it needs to be halfway up the side of the product. Okay, so this is, do you see how the product is kind of pushed out, just so it's not completely submerged in there? That's kind of what I want. Okay, so I've got water, I've got soy, I've got my garlic, I've got my vinegar in there, and my onions. I'm gonna just heat it up. Either I get it to a simmer on the stove top, just like this. Once it comes up to a simmer, please do not let it boil. That's what we do not want. We do not want it to boil. We want it to simmer. And realistically, for me, I like to stick it in the oven. I like to wrap it with plastic or wrap it with aluminum foil and stick it in the oven until fork tender. Okay, until done. It should be kind of fork tender. It shouldn't be like so much where it should be like pulled pork, but it should be nice and fork tender, maybe 20, 30 minutes, give or take. But what we need to make sure is when we after it's all done, then we're going to kind of thicken up that sauce a little bit if we need it, either by natural reduction or by the cornstarch. So it came up to a simmer. I'm going to take it off the heat and I'm going to wrap it with aluminum foil and stick it in a 350-degree oven until fork tender. Okay, that's about 20, 30 minutes. I would say about 30 minutes, give or take. And then it really kind of depends on how big you cut your product, your pork. If it's really those really big pieces, it might take a little bit longer. But the most important thing is that you cover this up as well, because if there's any air that gets to it, what happens is it will start to boil. You don't want it to ever boil in the oven. Okay, so here is my pot right here. If everybody can see, I've got my pork in there. So I'm going to stick this in a 350-degree oven until fork tender. I'm going to, check it in maybe 20 minutes or so just to see where it's at. Right? So, and the fish sauce. You know what? I forgot to put the fish sauce. You want to put in, I would say, just a drizzle, a very, very small amount of fish sauce. When you open up the fish sauce, You'll smell it. It is very, very strong. So just a little bit of fish sauce. And I'm gonna open up the, actually I'll probably put it in later. Any questions so far? So cucumbers are done. The pork adobo's in the oven doing its thing. And so the last, basically I need my rice and I need the pancetta. So I'm gonna go ahead, get my, let me come look at my noodles. Okay, so here are my noodles. You can see how they've softened up, right? It's kind of what you're looking for. It's nice and soft. Make sure that that are all stuck together. So this is for my pancetta. I'm gonna let that just kind of sit a little longer in here, and then I can just take it out of the water in a little while. There we go. So my pancetta noodles are just chilling like a villain, just sitting there doing its thing. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna make my rice real quick, and then I will start getting my pancetta together. So my rice, I need to at least rinse my rice at least a couple of times, 2 or 3 times before I. Okay, here's my rice. I'm gonna put it in there, and I'm gonna rinse my rice. At least, and I'm gonna rinse it in cold water until the water starts to turn white or clear. Kind of has a milky look to it. A couple of times, rinse it. You can rinse it 3 times, or until the water starts to turn. Okay, so I've got my rice, my water in a pot. Here's my rice and water right here. I'm going to let it simmer. And once it turns comes up to simmer, I'll give it one quick stir and wrap it up and put it in the oven until done, or cook it on the stovetop. It's up to you on how you want to do it. So my rice is going. Get myself set up for my pancetta. I'm going to go ahead and wait until my rice comes up to simmer. Then I can put it in the oven. And basically, my rice will come out right around the time my pork is done. Because the rice is going to take about 30 minutes to cook. And my pork is going to take about 30 to 45 minutes. So that'll give enough time for my pasta, for my pork to kind of chill for a few minutes and relax. And everything will be done about the same time. So I'm basically waiting for my pot of rice to come up to simmer. And then I'm going to wrap it up. And then I'm going to start working on my pancetta. So for my pancetta, if you don't have carrots, that's totally fine. You don't need to use it. I mean, it's basically just, we're going to be kind of cooking stuff, if you want to, whatever you have vegetable-wise, you can use. But I'm just kind of waiting on my rice to come up to simmer. Once that happens, I'll wrap it. You don't really want to salt this rice because the adobo has got a lot of soy in there. So this helps with the salt factor. All right, I'm just kind of waiting for my pasta, or not pasta, my rice to go, so then I can just pay attention to one thing. And you always want to let that water come up to simmer before you put it in the oven, because it'll take a lot longer for that pot of rice to actually come up to simmer in the oven. Always best to get it to the simmer first on the stovetop, then transfer it. So it's come up to simmer. I'm going to turn it off. Aluminum foil. Make sure it's tight. Making sure it's all tight around the edges. Bada boom, bada boom. I always like to put the time. Stick it in a 350-degree oven. About 20 to 30 minutes, and then fluff it up with a fork. All right, so what we've gotten so far done is we have the cucumbers. They are sitting, pickling, just kind of chilling, doing its thing. Let me go check on that. here they are. You know what? Let me transfer this to something. Okay, so here's the cucumbers right here, just chilling in the vinegar, sugar, water, salt, all of that good stuff. So that is kind of going. My pork adobo is in the oven cooking. My rice is in the oven cooking. And my pasta are the rice sticks, so the rice noodles that for the pancetta, I got hot water, filled it up into a bowl, and then just letting them sit. And you can see these rice noodles soften up just like this. You can kind of see how they're nice and soft. And I actually run my hand through it. And sometimes you have some that are like stuck together like this. I usually take them out or take that little bit out, because if not, it gets stuck into my pancetta, and then you've got kind of it's a little chewier, or you want to kind of break them up a little bit so where it's not all stuck together. And if you need to, if it hasn't softened up, you can dump out some of this water and add fresh warm water to it. Just be careful to not dump out the water. I'd say when you're dumping out your noodles, get a strainer. All right, so now I'm going to just go ahead and start banging out my prep for this. So I've got my onions already julienned right here. You know what? I had some of that celery. I don't know if you remember that celery I used for kind of cut on a bias. What was that for? I think China, first day at China, I believe. I used that kind of cut some celery like this. I'm going to use that, but if you don't have it, I'll show you how to cut it. What does it say celery? On a bias, yeah. So I'm just kind of just like that. So you got your celery cut. Okay, here's my celery right here, my onions right here. What else do we need? Garlic. Should have chopped up a little bit more, but I'll do garlic in just a second. Let me see what else do we need. Green cabbage.
Jeff, I have a question.
Yes.
For the pork adobo, did you leave it in the pot and then put it in the oven, or should I transfer it to
No, I left it in the pot.
Okay, yes, chef.
I left it in the pot and just just wrapped it up and put it right in the oven. Let's see, thin shaved. So what for the cabbage? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate the layers real quick, and then I can kind of do thin shave. And I'm going to actually cut this in half so it's a little smaller. I would cut this a little different if I had a whole head. But,
Excuse me, chef, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have celery stick because they gave me this week. They only gave me one stick of celery.
Okay, then you don't need celery.
Can I use yellow bell peppers that I have in green or no?
Of course you can.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, I mean, when I went to the Philippines, you know, there's all different. I mean, this is just kind of a basic recipe, but you know, I mean, people, you know, my mother-in-law and you know, I mean, even my wife, when we make pancit, you know, I mean, it's just kind of whatever vegetables you kind of have in a way. It's not. It's usually onions and you know it always has onions and garlic and cabbage usually in there. That's just because it's a filler, you know. But yeah, you can do about anything.
I have mushrooms left.
Yeah, you could do that as well.
Thank you.
I mean, and we got our Chinese sausage right here. Yeah, of course. It's the method that we're doing it. So I'm not worried about that. All right, now for that Chinese sausage, I am pulling this little bit of membrane that's kind of on the outside of it. I don't know if you can see how I'm pulling the membrane right off. It's right here. Cut my sausage in half moons. You need to cut some lemons or cut a lemon edges. I always make sure I try to take the seeds out. If I see any seeds. No one wants to have seeds in their lemon. And I usually cut this little, see this white membrane right there? I usually trim that little white membrane off because when you're squeezing it, a lot of times if you don't cut that white membrane off, what happens is when you squeeze it, the juice goes to either side and it usually squirts out, you know, at the customer or whatever else. And this helps prevent it from, you know, like juicing everywhere else. So I've got my lemon kind of cut right here. All the seeds that I saw taken out. That. Green onions or scallions, man, I don't know if I have any more. There's one. If you don't have one, that's all right. But the white part, you're going to cut up into small little rounds. And the green part, you'll cut kind of as a garnish. I'm going to, meaning you want to cut it on a bias cut. Kind of like what we did yesterday and the day before, just for garnish. I don't like doing rounds for the green part because it just looks a little cheesy to me, like a old school baked potato bar or something like that. I like it more cut on a bias. So it just has a little, and if you can kind of see in this cup, you know, it has a little nicer appearance. Let's see. Yeah. Pepper, fish or soy sauce. fish sauce if I need it. Egg strips. Okay, so I've got pretty much everything now except the egg strips. So I'm gonna kind of put everything on the sheet here so I can organize myself. And fish sauce. Green cabbage, soy sauce, lemon, pepper, garlic, onions, carrots, celery, cheese. So all I need to do is get the egg strips. So I'm going to basically make an omelet, a flat omelet. I'm gonna just make get a, just beat up 2 eggs. I've got a saute pan. I'm gonna basically gonna look like a pancake, but or it looks like an omelet, but I'm gonna not fold it. I'm gonna just leave it flat and pop it out. So I'll show you that in just a second. I need to get 2 eggs, beat it up real quick. Cucumbers and merit, basically pickling. I've got my pork adobo braising in the oven right now. I've got my rice cooking in the oven right now. I've got all my prep for my pancetta kind of sitting there right now. I'm working now on the egg strips or the egg for my pancetta. And my pork. Egg, I'm beating it up right now. I'm gonna get some salt in this egg. I'm gonna get some pepper in this egg. We want it seasoned, right? Of course, we want flavor. Turn on the heat for my saute pan. Get some fat in my pan. You could use lard, you could use, you name it. You could use just about any sort of fat that floats your boat, turns you on, excites you. Whatever else I have. The reason why I said lard, I had a big old container of lard sitting over here. So I just put a little bit of lard in this pan just to, that's what I'm gonna do my egg with. Got my egg right here. I'm waiting for my pan to get nice and warm. I'm gonna basically make scrambled egg, or I'm sorry, make an omelet. Quick a little omelet without having to, without folding. See it in a second. Pan's getting hot. So because you really don't want any color onto this egg. You just want, and I don't know if you can kind of see it. I'll show you. I'm kind of using a rubber spat to kind of pull it up so where I can kind of get some of that egg, uncooked egg. Just kind of rolling it around, making sure that nice little flat omelet. Also, you can crack the egg, basically do all of this and stick it in the oven, and it does kind of the same thing. So where it has your egg. I'm going to get my egg strip out in just a second. Almost done. Here is my egg. If you can see it on my cutting board right there. So let that sit and cool for a few minutes, and then I will cut it up into little strips. Just let that sit and cool for a couple of minutes. I got to think about while I'm letting that cool, I got to think about what kind of utensils or what kind of plates and all of that I need. I need a bowl for the pancetta. So I've got myself a bowl for the pancetta. I might need a bowl for the pork adobo as well, or a plate. And then I need a thing for my pickles. So I'm going to go find while I'm waiting. Right, I've got two of these bowls for my pork adobo. I got a little container. I'm going to see if I can find a smaller one for my pickles. And then this is for my pancetta. Okay, my egg is kind of cooled. I'm going to go ahead and cut little strips. Everybody see that? I'm going to cut that in half. That's where I have the egg strips. Everybody see that? All egg strips right there. I've got my egg strips. Egg strips sitting right here. So I've got all my knees right here. I've got my little bit of white part of the green onion. Got my garlic. I've got my egg strips. I've got my Chinese sausage right here. I've got my pepper. I've got my celery. I've got my cabbage. I've got my green part of the green onion that's cut for garnish. I've got soy sauce. I've got the the fish sauce right here. Soy sauce, fish sauce, and let's see. Oh, and my lemons. Sorry, here are my lemons right here. The only thing I don't have is the shrimp, and that's totally fine. You don't need it. Okay, so here's all my mise en place right there. And then let me look at my noodles. See what my noodles look like. Oh yeah, they look awesome. So let me bring them over. Here are the noodles sitting right here. You can kind of see that they're just soaking in water. I'm going to dump out some of this water, and that is it. And all I have to do is kind of put this and all right, so my noodles. Martin, what's up? Martin, do you have a question? Your hand is raised in the. All right, it's not. All right, so here's my pasta right here. Just kind of chilling like a villain. Just kind of hanging out. There you have it. So I'm going to kind of clean up my station a little bit because I don't need anything else at my station. So I'm going to clean up everything. I'm just kind of cleaning up my area real quick. Put everything back. Check my rice with my rice opinion. And I'll check my pork adobo. Rice. And rice is pretty much done. I'll let that just sit and steam. Hey, rice is done. I'm gonna just let that steam dry. And put it off to the side. I'm gonna check my pork adobo now. Okay, so here's my pork adobo. I don't know if anybody can see that. It looks or actually smells amazing. Check the doneness or the tenderness of the So I'm going to go pull out a piece of this and feel it. It needs a little bit longer, so I'm going to just cover it back up and let it cook longer. It needs to be nice and pork tender. I'll let that sit and cook longer. Put this back in the 350-degree oven. Another probably 10 minutes, 15 minutes most. Utilize this little piece of that I have. Let me just cut this up real quick, just so I can utilize this bell pepper. And this bell pepper will be for my pancetta. Utilize that last bit of it. All right, so I got everything at my ready. I need to I'm going to get a wok for the pancetta, so I'll be right back. I'm going to go get a wok and start working on the wok. All right. All good, Chef. Oh, yeah. Thanks, sir. So here's my wok. It's clean and shiny like I did it yesterday. So just making sure that we're all good. It's all clean and oiled down. So I am kind of ready. I'm gonna wait until my pork adobo in about 10 minutes. Then I will start making the pancetta or so. I'm gonna wait just a few minutes on that. Just so where it doesn't, or it's not make it cold. So let me try to move my camera around to, here's all my mise en place sitting right there, ready. This is my cucumbers. In the bowl is my noodles. And then everything else I need for the pancetta is sitting right there. I've got my wok sitting on the stove. I don't know if you can see over the far corner over there, that aluminum foil, that's my rice staying warm. My pancetta, or I'm sorry, my pork adobo is in the oven right now. And I have got my 2 bowls for my adobo. I've got my pot for my, or my bowl for my pancetta. And then I need to find a little small container to put my pickled vegetable soup, sorry. And here's my small container to put my pickled vegetables. So I've got all my mise en place kind of staged up, ready to go. All I'm waiting on is that pork. Once that pork gets done, then I can finish up everything else. Now, that pork should have, that pork recipe did have cornstarch in it. Now, what you can do, you can get a little bit of cornstarch and water and make a cornstarch slurry. And you can adjust the consistency of the sauce whenever you need to adjust the thickness of the sauce for the pork adobo. But I will get a little slurry, and that's it. I'm gonna probably go grab a drink real quick, and I will be right back. I'll be back in about 5 minutes. All right, I am back. Pork adobo is cooking, doing its thing. All right, it's kind of a waiting game for a few minutes because I don't want to start cooking my pancetta until everything is kind of ready, because the pancetta won't take long. But what I can do is I can, let's see, could stage up and cook my vegetables a little bit, but I'm gonna just kind of wait and cook everything kind of all at once instead of staggering. So while I'm sitting here, I'm gonna go ahead and clean all my dishes real quick, so I don't have a lot of dishes left to clean, because I've got to teach another class, and this afternoon I've got to teach Foundations 1 class. I have to leave right after here. So I don't have much time in between my classes, so I'm going to smell my adobo cooking. I'm going to go ahead and check it. I can smell it. Quick. Take out a piece and see if I can. All right, I can kind of, and if you can kind of see, I can kind of tear it apart a little bit. Right. So there is adobo. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to wrap it back up. I'm going to put it in the oven for a couple of minutes while I'm getting my slurry, because I'm going to do the cornstarch slurry. Just a little bit to thicken up some of that sauce, because I want that sauce to kind of stick to the meat. Because the meat, when you braise meat, you tend to, it gets kind of a little on the drier side. So you want to make sure that when the sauce kind of sticks to the actual meat itself. Making a cornstarch slurry real quick. Here it is, just a nice like consistency of heavy cream. Scrub my dishes, and at that point, I will thicken up that sauce. And then pretty much ready to go after that. Real quick, guys, I'm going to be just doing my dishes. If you need anything, yell at me, but I'm going to just be scrubbing my dishes real quick. Almost done doing my dishes. Then I will thicken up the sauce with the let's sit and chill out and work through. Most of my dishes done. dish apron. So I'm just waiting for my pork to cook. I'm gonna strain my pasta. I dumped out some of my get out. Check on, pull out my adobo really quickly. Right, so my pork adobo has cooked. It's nice and tender. I'm going to just go ahead, put a little of that this cornstarch slurry. I do not want it like ultra thick. I just want it just enough for it to just kind of barely coat the meat. And I'll show you what the thickness looks like in a second. Okay, so here's my meat right here. Do you see how it kind of the sauce is kind of sticking to that meat? Okay, that's kind of what you're wanting. Okay, it's not too saucy, but when I take it out, you see how it glistens and kind of sticks to the meat. That's kind of what you want. That's pretty much it. That is pork adobo. I'm gonna taste it, maybe make sure that the seasoning is good. But there you have it. That is the pork adobo. I'm gonna put this off to the side and to stay warm. And just know that when you thicken stuff with cornstarch, right, as it sits and cools, it thickens back up. So sometimes you might need to thin it down if it got a little too thick. Okay, so I'm gonna. All right. So now I'm gonna work on my pancetta because everything else is done. So in my wok, I'm gonna heat up my wok. If you don't have a wok, some kind of a bigger sided pan, something that has a little more deeper sides to it. You know, just because of the noodles and there's so much stuff happening. So I'm going to turn on the heat of my wok. I'm going to got a little lard, or you can use whatever floats your boat. I'm going to use lard since I got it. I like using lard for things. And the getting hot. You can start to see the heat coming up. I'm gonna go ahead, get my onions and my celery. I'm gonna do my onions first. Start to cook my onions a little bit. So I'm going to put in my celery. The reason why I'm putting in my celery, that also, celery has a lot of moisture, and that will help prevent my onions from darkening too much. Plus that, plus the celery is too spicy too, right? So where it cook that a little bit to where. Move the camera over. Does everybody see that? I got my celery and onions just sitting in there cooking. Let's see, here you go. See my onions and celery just doing its thing. The onions are browning a little bit, that's fine, that's what I want. But with the celery in there, it helps kind of prevent it from browning as much. I got bell pepper, so I can throw in my bell pepper. You don't have to have bell pepper. I just had a half a bell pepper already kind of trimmed up instead of throwing it away. I have not put in the white part of the green onion yet, but I will. Don't have green onion, that's okay. World is not going to stop. Here's my vegetables, if everybody can see that. I'll put in my white part of the green onion now. I have not put in my garlic yet, but I will. Just don't want it to burn. I want my vegetables to cook first. Oh yeah, it's looking good. Can everybody see that? Looking mighty good. This time, I'm gonna turn down the heat just a skosh. Excuse me. I'm gonna put in my garlic. I'll put in my garlic. I'll put in my little Chinese sausage. Remember my mistake yesterday. I got a little, my Chinese sausage was a little too dark, so I just had to be very careful with, I don't want to burn the Chinese sausage. There we go. I've got my cabbage right here. I'm going to put in. Soy sauce, fish sauce, got my egg strips. I'm gonna get a little black pepper in here. I'm gonna put a little bit of salt in with the vegetables now. Here are my vegetables. If everybody sees that, got my cabbage. I've got everything in there except my egg strips in the green part of the green onion. I'm gonna squeeze a little lemon in there. I'm gonna go ahead and put in my pasta or the rice noodle. If you had shrimp, it would be pretty much already cooked. And you can just put your little shrimp in there. I turn down the heat. I'm going to put a little soy sauce. I like putting a little bit of vinegar. Have a little bit of vinegar. It really calls for a lot of acid. Or I feel like it doesn't call for it in the recipe, but just by taste, it needs a lot of acid. I'm going to put more, squeeze a little lime or a lemon in there. I'm going to put in the egg strips. I'm going to not put in the, well, I can put in the green part of the green onion.
Hey, Chef.
Yes, I'm listening.
I didn't get any shrimp. I was just gonna run it HEB.
No,
or can I just use the pork?
You don't need to. You can just use that Chinese sausage. That's all I'm using.
Oh, okay.
Okay, here is this right here. There's the pancetta with everything in it. I'm going to taste it, see where it's at. Black pepper. We go a little more soy, and that is it. So here's the finished product right here. I'm going to plate it up. And that's all she wrote. Clean up my station real quick so I can plate up. Just when you put in the fish sauce, be very careful. Don't add too much, because that fish sauce is all fish sauce. Plate up pancetta. Platter, usually it's served like family style in the Philippines. see the relatives. All right, so. Pawn set right here. That's the pawn set right there. For the jalapenos and the pickled vegetables, you want to strain off a lot of that pickling juice, but not all of it. You want to keep a little bit in there. So I've got my pickled right here. The lemons or limes, you can kind of put right here for people to squeeze onto it. And now I put adobo. Walk out of my way, Rusty. Nice. My adobo. I'm gonna wet my spoon to get the rice out. That helps prevent my rice from sticking in the spoon or on the spoon. If you want to pack rice into a container, just don't pack it too hard. You don't want that rice to be mushed. So I've got a little container like this. I'm gonna just, so where it has a shape. Go. Pork adobo. Make sure you take out the bay leaf. If you put the bay leaf in here, make sure you take that out. Wipe down the plates a little bit. And I'm gonna quickly try to go find a little bit of green onion or something to garnish. All right, I'm gonna just quickly cut up these green onions. I need to rinse it real quick and then cut it up on it. So I'm gonna there we go. So here is pork adobo right here. And then my pickled cucumbers and jalapenos or serranos. And I've got my pancetta right here. Any questions about that? Can y'all hear me?
Yes, chef. Sorry.
Okay.
my hands
No.
dirty.
Just sometimes when I go into the cooler, I went into the cooler and my headphones stopped working. But there you go. That is it. I'm gonna go give this away and kind of clean up a little bit, and I'll start looking at the photos from yesterday, and we'll talk about it. Cool. I'll be back in a second.
Yes, chef.
All right, guys, I'm gonna just kind of clean up real quick and kind of get a few things situated, and then I will start looking at y'all's photos from yesterday.
Hey, Chef, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So my pork adobo didn't thicken up.
Right. What I did was I used a little cornstarch slurry.
Yeah, Chef. I did put a little bit of that in there, and it's like a little.
It needs to. Has it come up to a boil yet? It's got to come up to. So whenever I put my cornstarch in, I had to turn it on hot, like on the stove top, and it had to come up to a boil before.
Yeah, Chef. So should I what can I do to thicken up the sauce?
So it didn't thicken with the cornstarch?
No, Chef.
Okay, maybe just put a little bit more cornstarch in there, or just let it reduce down just a little bit. Just let it sit on the heat and let the liquid kind of reduce down.
Yes, Chef.
Kind of what we call a natural reduction type of deal. That should work, especially with the cornstarch in it already. That will help as it kind of reduces down a little bit. Do you have a lot of liquid in there? I mean, is it really liquidy?
Yeah, it's like really liquidy. I may have put a little bit too much stock.
Okay, then what I would do is I would, you can just let it reduce down a little bit and or add a little more cornstarch and heat it back up and let it thicken up that way, because I mean, you can add more cornstarch to it and it'll thicken up a little bit more if you would like. That, or you can do natural reduction. It's up to you.
Yes, Chef. Thank you.
If you want to just let it reduce down, then we can look at it or whatever else. Just let me know. Clean up my table. I'm gonna scrub up my dishes. Clean up the kitchen a bit. Don't have any questions, please do not hesitate. I'm not doing any of the cooking. You're just gonna produce your food, and we'll talk about what the final is gonna look like on Monday. And I think our last day is on Thursday, I believe. Correct? Let's walk down, make sure it's nice and down, front and back. Doesn't rust. I'm gonna put this up real quick. All right. Dishes. Good. Move them away. All right, guys, I'm gonna run out and take out the garbage. I will be back in a few minutes. There's a lot of garbage, so it might take me a couple minutes. See you in a second.